I returned to my home track after a 6-month break and I got absolutely humbled. This was my first race back at pit stop karting, my home track where I have lots of history. There's been seasons where my deluded self thought I could have a championship fight, seasons where I've had a 100% podium rate, and seasons where I was so far off the pace I didn't even podium. I like to think of myself as a bit of a local track hero here, but that's probably the ego talking. My most notable feat is I hold the second quickest lap of all time, and I've finished second in the championship 3 times. However, my most recent races here were, how do I say this? Suboptimal. In my second last race here, I actually got beat by my student, Blaine Motorsport. And ever since, he likes to think he's better than me. To settle this score, we've started a head-to-head competition, where I lead 2-0. This race is his best chance to get a point, as he's been racing here non-stop since I left. I can't let that happen. I can't let him score. So naturally, I show up to track, ready to race, and me and Blaine are immediately separated into 2 different heats. There'll be no dramatic wheel-to-wheel showdown. No crashes, drama, ego. Instead, the competition is still on, but now our times are being compared. I had one goal: drive quick and prove the stopwatch does not lie. After a very brief 10-minute wait in the karts, my race 1 was off and away, and I was very, very slow. I'm not gonna lie, for the first 3 laps I was over a second off the pace. All my history and my muscle memory, it had completely left me, and despite being given one of the quickest cars in the fleet, I was all over the place. It was like I had forgotten how to drive. You see, my issue with these karts is unlike the regular ones I race at Kingston, or, to be fair, any other ones I've driven. The karts at pit stop are completely unresponsive. They give 0 feedback through the rear end, which is a weakness of my driving style that I am actively trying to work on. But right now, I need rear feeling, and I was not being given it. And clearly, that's debilitating. However, I like to think I am nothing but adaptable, and within a few laps, it was finally coming back to me. I'd remembered how to drive, I'd remembered what a racing line is, and I managed to get within a few tenths of the pace setter in my group. The race winner known as Charlie. This right here was the story of the first half of the session. Me chasing down Charlie, the gap ebbing and flowing. I was never able to fully catch up, but I wasn't slow enough to fully fall back either. However, at about half race distance, I set my fastest lap of the night, an 18.9, which is a top 5 lap overall. And at the same time, Charlie got caught up in an incident with lap traffic, which brought me right onto his bumper. This was the perfect test to see if I still had the pace, if I could still keep up with the regulars. I started the test passing with flying colours. I was quick, I was on his bumper, and I was so much more confident than him on the entry to any corner. However, I lost a tiny bit on exit, which got me thinking, if I wanted to set up an overtake, I would need to have this exit speed so I could force him off his line even a tiny bit. So, I started changing my lines, and this is where it all went wrong. Once I started playing with exits and trying to prioritize them a bit more, I lost my entry commitment advantage, and instead of regaining it on the exit, just disappeared. I started losing more and more time, and my exits were still bad, but now my entries were even worse. This caused Charlie to pretty much drive away, and when the session ended, I was left scratching my head, not knowing where the final bit of pace I needed was. But now, onto the important part of the night. The most important rivalry since Senna Prost. I was 2 tenths ahead of Blaine after race 1, and it looks like I was going to be able to extend the head-to-head gap to 3-0, which is a gap he would never be able to close. I would be able to retire early, and I would go down in history. However, this dream slowly began to unravel in race 2. To start race 2, I was given a very strong car. That in the hands of the champion, he set an 18.7. I wanted to prove I still had this pace. Pace to cut up at the sharp edge of the field, and in my break racing at Kingston Park, I had gotten quicker, not slower. I may not have had the answers after race 1, but I was going to push hard and find out. One slight issue though, when I got out and started the race, I found the barriers were very slightly pushed out compared to usual. But that's no problem, it's only minor, and I'm adaptable, right? It turns out I'm not adaptable at all, and I struggled with the barriers all race, culminating in what might be the most embarrassing crash of my career. It has close competition, unfortunately. Because of the small factors, and also just my general lack of driving skill, I was about 5/10ths off the fastest lap in this car, with a best lap of a 19.2. To make things even worse, Blaine was on peak form, setting 19.1s and fighting for a potential podium. This means that we were about equal on average pace, since he did have a consistency advantage on me. And coming into race 3, the pressure was on. I needed to stop Blaine getting his first point. But I still did not have the answers. I got given another kart capable of sub-19s in the hands of the truly quick regulars, the guys I used to fight with. I needed some confidence back to undo my poor pace recently. And before the race, the guy behind me was having a bit of a banter with the staff about his bloodshot eyes. I decided to crack a wise one.
It's alright, bro.
I might have to kick you out if you are.
Just say you are. It'll explain your slow lap times.
I see how it is, yeah.
Which didn't come across as witty as I wanted, and instead it lit a fire under this guy. Starting the race, I wasn't immediately on the pace, and the guy behind me, the guy I had just made that witty remark that didn't quite land to, he was on it. He was on it immediately. And before long, he was also on my bumper. Whilst not great to show my incredible race-winning pace, as this guy was also another rookie, it did give me an opportunity to see where I was losing time. I had no better opportunity to test this out, and the results were, I was quicker through turn 1, 2, 3, only minor, but I was quicker, 4, 5, and just would lose all of it in turn 6. Honestly, I would have been half a second slower through here. The story would go, I would pull away through the first couple of corners, I'd lose it all through that corner, and then I would have to drive away again, and then it would just repeat. It would be on my bumper, unable to pass, catch up, I would pull away, he would catch up, he'd be on my bumper, unable to pass, I'd pull away, he would catch up, he would be on my bumper, unable to pass. Thankfully though, this track is more narrow than Monaco, and impossible to overtake at. And he never even got close to setting up a move, so at least my ego was spared that small amount. However, the level of pace difference through that one corner, it was extremely humbling. Especially after my comments beforehand, where I was hyping myself up like the next best thing. I need to change my trash talk approach, I've decided. More trash talk of calling myself the GOAT, because I am, and less trash talk of calling others slow, because that just lights a fire under them and makes them quicker. The guy even said so after the race when I was having a chat with him. To make a bad night even worse, Blaine pumped out his quickest laps of the night, and was setting consistent 19.0s. This was bad, and after the race I had my interview with Blaine Roper for his short film he's making about the final. In the interview, I gave out my usual confident facade, you can check it out, by the way, and then afterwards I lined up for the award ceremony. No silverware would be mine that night. I finished P7. A result wholly unfitting of someone of my royal history, but a result that truly fit my driving skill that night. But my heart somehow sank even further when I heard where Blaine finished. P5! This guy has now beaten me at this track twice, but more importantly, he's gotten his first point in the head-to-head. 2-1! We probably have like 3 more head-to-head races whilst I'm here, so I need to step up my driving. I need to make sure he doesn't finish ahead of me. This will not stand. Anyway, thanks for watching.